Hello readers, writers, and human beings. Believe it or not, I used to start my vlogs that way. I don't think it was on this channel, but it was definitely on my other channel, but those videos are long privated, thankfully. Hopefully this was not on this channel, but yeah, hello and welcome back to another video, another bookish video. Today I'm talking about the books that I read in April, and I'm talking about this at the end of June. But it's okay because better late than never when it comes to book reviews. Let's get right into it. I don't have that many books, but there are a few books, especially the non-fiction books, that I have not really spoken about on this channel. I just briefly mentioned them. But the fiction books that I do have here, I've definitely reviewed them because I've definitely had reading vlogs go out. So I'm going to go quickly through those, and the non-fiction I'm going to just tell you my thoughts and opinions. And I have been writing my reviews in the last year in these notebooks, these bookish notebooks by Bibliophile. I really love them, and I'm slowly trying to put all my book reviews on my Sandra's Shelf website, so sandrasshelf.com. It's linked down below. So yeah, I've been working through that lately. It's a really daunting task. Like, I have 1,000 books to review, or like to add from Goodreads to there. So I'm trying to like tackle more of the books that I read in the last 2 years because I actually have reviews that are written down. So although I make this bookish review, I actually go more in depth either by making a video essay on the second channel or by writing something like a blog post or a book review blog post. Some of you might be standing there like, oh my god, I don't care, but for those that like love reading book reviews and love like engaging with literature, I thought I'd let you know, because I know like Goodreads is more like sensationalized, so I like sometimes taking my time with book reviews. Sometimes they're very like surface level, but other times I get deep, especially if I really love the book. With that being said, let's start. I have 6 books, so we should be able to get through them quickly. So the first book that I read in April is The Obesity Code: Unlocking the Secrets of Weight Loss by Jason Fung. I've tabbed this. When it comes to obesity, I feel like a lot of people are just so misguided and misled online when you look at reels and TikToks of people losing weight or gaining weight, or people anything to do with weight, losing weight and nutrition and workouts. People are always so mean and nasty, and they literally talk out of their asses. And I'm not saying that I know everything or anything like that, obviously not. But the more I read books like this one, the more I realize that we are just all being misled, because the famous advice of move more and eat less is something that just doesn't work, and it's something that's new in the last 50 years. It's the new prescription that we give, but it's just not working, because you could move more, eat less, and still eat the wrong food that will definitely spike your insulin more, and at the same time it's just fucking up your body, because our bodies just want to be in homeostasis. So just always like trying to cut your calories, and then your body just like freaks out and your ghrelin rises, your hormone rises, you become insulin resistant, and it's just like a yo-yo cycle of like many years. And that's something that I fell prey to, and now that I'm doing more research, I'm realizing that like with the power of like fasting and more intentional eating, like knowing what I'm eating and when I'm eating, it has been helping me. I do know that if I don't sleep, if I'm stressed, if I'm mindlessly eating, and in the past I had like binge eating disorder, I will just pack on the weight, and my insulin resistance is just gonna get higher and higher and higher. So books like The Obesity Code is really, really helpful, and I highly recommend it if you struggle with weight loss or sustained weight loss. And yeah, he's not telling you to like just go keto. He's not telling you to just choose one diet. You know what I mean? Like, he's just really giving you the plain and simple truth, and that's what I like about this book. I'm not gonna keep on rambling about this because I am planning on making separate videos on the Sandra's Shelf. Anything that's non-fiction, I will be discussing more in depth on there. So yeah, this is just in summary what I thought about this book, and I really, really enjoyed it. As you can see on this video, you actually could see my fasting salts, my fasting electrolytes on the corner. It's because lately I've been trying to do long and extended fasts, and I'm actually going to be recording my longest fast ever in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for that on the second channel. But I won't bore you about fasting and metabolism, weight loss, and all that stuff on this channel because I feel like people prefer more like the fiction side on this channel. So that's that. And then after I read this book, I read Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I don't think I've talked about this on this channel. No, I haven't. I was gonna film a reading vlog, but I was just so compelled to just finish reading this because it was just so good. I really enjoyed it. This book really gave me all the fun vibes that I had when I first read like the Vampire Academy books, when I first read Twilight, any of those type of like fun books that I read when I was younger, and that reminded me like, you know what, books can be fun, books are entertaining and whatnot. That's what this book did for me, and I know a lot of people hated this book. This was my first Ali Hazelwood book, and it really made me want to pick up her other books. I'm not saying it's groundbreaking, I'm not saying that it's like wow, but it is like the right amount of like steamy without it just being about the steam. I find that Misery Lark, the main character, she's very relatable in the way that she's a very lonely, introverted character. She's like kind of like if you think about like the biracial experience where it's like you're not accepted by your own community, but you're also not accepted by the other community. So she's a vampire. She's not accepted by her own community because she spent a lot of her lifetime being this collateral for the alliance between the vampires and the humans. So she's really not close to the vampires, but the humans can detect that there's something wrong with her. And then there's the werewolves, which are the enemies to the vampires, that obviously don't get along with her, but she marries the alpha of the werewolves because of this new alliance between weres and vampires. And then from there we see how, you know, there's like a hate to love between her and her husband. It was just such a fun book. Honestly, it was really fun, and it really like had that aspect of found family as well, and I just highly recommend it. If you want to read something next fall that's really fun and easy to get through, I definitely recommend reading Bride. As you can tell, in April I was still on my vampire kick because I was reading a lot of books for my novel. So we have Dracula by Bram Stoker, another book that I have a vlog on this channel, so I'm not going to go into depth. What I will say is that this is one of my favorite classics now, and I find this more sentimental than horrific and more beautiful. I don't know, there was just a lot of pathos, I would say, and that's about it. But also, now that I'm reflecting on my experience reading this book, I don't know if I would consider it like an top favorite classic, but it is one of my favorites because, like I said, it was very repetitive towards the end, but I did very much enjoy my time reading this. Then I read A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. This is the first Ava Reid book that I read. It really made me fall in love with her writing style. It like filled that gap that Addie LaRue by V. Schwab left in my heart. But at the same time, it's not the same. It's not really comparable, but it has that lyrical aspect, story, myth-making aspect to it. So if you like myths and myth-making, and if you like characters that are driven to, you know, preserve art and literature, and in this case architecture, you will definitely love this book, and I highly recommend it. And then I read Slow Productivity, The Lost Art of Accomplishment Without Burnout by Cal Newport. I enjoyed this book. It was very quick to read, which thank God, because nothing I hate more than a productivity book being 500 or 600 pages long when you're like trying to be productive. Like, it beats the idea of being productive, in my opinion. The more condensed a productivity book but impactful and helpful it is, the better. So this is that. Obviously, Cal Newport here separates like 3 aspects to slow productivity, which is doing fewer things, working at a natural pace, and obsessing on quality over quantity. Now, what this means is that basically he's not saying to just stop doing things and stop accomplishing things. What he is saying instead is to, like, say you want to write a novel, instead of writing a novel, overexerting yourself, doing the marketing, like say if you want to do social media to, you know, advertise your, why don't you spend like 2 months like going with the flow of season, like going 3 months just focusing on spending time, you know, daydreaming and writing your book, and then you can focus on the other things, you know, like he's more talking to people that have knowledge worker type of jobs, so people that, you know, that are like journalists, writers, creators, than, you know, labor workers, because we do have that advantage of like trying to play with our time and play with our seasons, more or less. Obviously if you have a job it's harder, but the thing is, it's wrong to equate that X amount of hours equals X amount of work done or productivity, because you have burnout, you have, you know, moments where you're just not doing anything and you're not able to focus and you're just so stressed, right? So it's all about being more intentional. It's all about slowing down in order to see more of what you can do and to dedicate more of your time by spending less of your time doing too many things and less of your time working so many hours, when you could just do focus work that would achieve the same thing. And I really like that idea, and I really do believe in that idea now that I'm trying to organize better my time. Like that's the thing that I struggle with the most. It wasn't my favorite slow productivity book, but it was a good start, and I will be picking up How to Do Nothing. That's a book that everyone has read a few years back, but I have not read that book yet, so that's one that I'm having my eyes set on. And then there's a few other slow productivity books now, because, you know, with hustle culture and people realizing that like it's not serving us and we are getting sicker and more anxious, and we literally, like, by the time you get home after you work so much and so many hours, you don't even have time for your creativity. You don't even have time to read a book, for example. You just, your brain is so mentally exhausted that it's gonna seek quick dopamine, such as like scrolling on TikTok or going on Instagram, right? So that's just something that really I care about deeply, and I do want to make more research on these topics. And the last book I read in April, and the last nonfiction book that I read in April as well, is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I've been meaning to pick this one up for a while now, but in April I was feeling like down and out on my luck and on my life, and I just needed that boost of motivation, and this one definitely gave that. I would say the first 1/3 and half of this book is really good, and then it just becomes so repetitive. Like it just becomes like a list of David Goggins' accomplishments and how he's trying to like beat the world record at pull-ups, and how he's like joining all these ultra marathons and triathlons and whatnot. So but the first third, you just see from his upbringing how he was abused and poor and overweight, and he couldn't read, and he was struggling at school, and how he just in his early 20s just turned his life around. And that's when he uncovered the strength of the human mind and how he can push himself and develop mental resilience and all the things that he wanted to accomplish. So here it says that he's the only man in history to complete elite training as a Navy SEAL, Army Ranger, and Air Force Tactical Air Controller. He went on to set records in numerous endurance events, inspiring Outside magazine to name him the fittest real man in America. So he was talking about how he was trying to train for the Buds and Hell Week, and he kept failing Hell Week, but he didn't give up, and then on the third try he not only survived and went through Hell Week, but like he actually did accomplish 3 Hell Weeks, which is more than the average person that goes into the program. And it's just so crazy to read about his story. But like I said, the first third or first half of the book is interesting. The rest is just like I would just skim it if I was you, not to be mean. But yeah, that's Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. If you ever heard of him, let me know what you think. I think that at some point when you push too much, I don't think that's also a way to live. But in one way, we could argue that like this is the way he wants to live. He wants to be the greatest and the toughest, and he is in some ways. So I guess good for him, because no one is going to take his spot unless they're determined to take his spot in some ways, or like determined to be as great as David Goggins. But it did help me to realize that, like, for example, for me, like I want to go on this long and extended fast. I've fasted for 20 days before, and now I'm like, okay, what if I push myself beyond 20 days? What if I go 40 or 60 days? Like, am I really able to go without like a cigarette and coffee and tea and food and whatever for X amount of days, you know, obviously within reason. But I know it's possible. I know it's physically possible. Other people have done it. I know that you could do it in a safe way if you are being monitored, right? But it's just that mental barrier. I feel like a lot of things that we think are physical barriers are actually very much mental barriers. And that's what David Goggins basically proved in his book and in his autobiography. So yeah, I enjoyed that one as well. Those were the 6 books that I read in April. Very mixed bag. Like we go from like lyrical to weight loss to memoir to productivity to a classic to, yeah. But that's how I read, and that's how I always read. I have read a lot more books in May, and I'm currently reading a lot of books in June, and these are like heavy books, so I am working on those videos. I'm working on my reviews. I literally, like this morning I woke up and I realized that I'm like 20 books behind reviews. So I finished these 6 and I have about another 20 reviews to write physically, so then I can film these wrap-up videos. Have you read any of these books? Do you recommend any books that are similar to any of these books that I've read? Like, I'm looking for more lyrical books. I'm looking for more books on productivity, and I'm looking for more books on like how to counter insulin resistance. I mean, I do have books on all these topics, but if you know something that I don't know, I would love to know, is essentially what I'm saying. I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're reading good books, and I'll see you on the May wrap-up. Bye!
Get it! 19!
Big son!
Yeah! 20, you got some more in you. 21, yeah, get it again. Come on, we want to see it. Good, 22.
Who's gonna carry the boats and the logs?
That's you, buddy. Come on, 23. Come on, 24. One more, David.
Who's
one more?
gonna carry the boats?
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You did it.